In this video, we are going to be laying some foundation for our battle system, which is probably the most complex system that this series will cover. So I think it's going to be good if we start now. So go into database and we're going to click this statistics button and we're going to resize this to 10 or so. And now's a really good time to mention this info button. Whenever you are on any of these pages, you can click this info button to get info about whatever you're looking at. And so this opens the wiki page. So just something good to know. But we're going to start adding some statistics. Let's start here. Well, the first statistic we're going to add is level. And this is going to be a rank. So rank is like, I'm going to try to define it without saying rank is like a level and level is like a rank, but it's true. Ranks are a type of statistic that are incremental. You know, it shows rank. You can think of rank like a profession or like a level, but in this case, it's just level as category rank. We're going to set minimum level to 1 and maximum to 99. We're going to set experience as our second one. We're going to change this to growth, and we're going to have a 0 as the minimum and 100 as the maximum. And I forgot to mention, this formula name is really important. You want these to be short because when we make formulas later, which I'll talk about, you'll need to know this. You'll need to remember this. So we're just going to type in LVL, XP, and now we're just going to create some variables. HP, let's just call this attack. We're going to keep it pretty basic. Defense, speed, magic attack, magic defense. And for all of these, we're just going to say ATK, def, speed, magic attack, magic defense. And then let's set some 1 and 1,000 for all of these. All right, that is pretty good. We might go back and add some more later, but I think this gets us going. And now when we go into our characters and we click on our character, we can see if we choose our rank as level and our growth as XP, and our starting rank as 1, we change our maximum rank to, I know I said earlier that our maximum level was 99, but I just want to worry maybe about 10 levels for now. That was a weird bug. Let's keep that maximum rank to 10, and now we see formulas. Now, I know just within the last day, the developer added a new setting for formula, so I'm going to see if I can find it here. What I want is for, yeah, let's click the save formulas and check mark that so we don't have to keep changing our formulas. Okay. Experience, we're just going to leave this as 0. What this table does, before I get more into this, is this shows us a table of stats by level. So for example, if I click attack and I say 100 here, then hero will have 100 attack from level 1 to level 10. But what we can do is we can add some formulas here that will make this system much better. So let's just make a really simple formula. Maybe let's say 45 plus, and then we're going to say level times 10. And now you can see we have a formula for our attack. And if I just change ranks and then reapply this, you'll see that it automatically adds the formula. We're going to do the same thing for all of these. These formulas can get really, really advanced, but my suggestion for you would be to play around with it because this is the balance of our game right now. Let's change just maybe higher, just lower. But now we have our basic statistics. Cool. Let's go into enemies now, and let's make ourselves an enemy. See if we can find a good monster. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just thinking here on the best way to do this. I wish we had some access to some of Final Boss's monsters, but I really, really am trying to keep this pretty basic. Okay. Directions. We only have one direction. We have a lot of frames, though. I think I actually just want it to be those first 3 frames. So if I go ahead, I'm actually gonna close back out of this for a second. So what I'm doing and what I'm thinking about here is how I want to set up the battlers. The system allows for a lot of diversity and a lot of ways to do your battle system. And so I think what I want here is I want the idle animation. I just want it to be these first 3. And so what we're going to need to do in order to do this is figure out the math. I'm not really sure these 16 by 16 images. Nope, they are not. So we need to find how big the frame is here. And I think this is right. I think they are 48 by 48. And so we're just going to say by 3 frames, boom. Yeah, that looks good. We're just going to call this guy Mage. And we're going to do the same exact thing. There we go. Seemed to be another visual bug here. We're just going to set this to 10. And to save us time, we're going to use this cool export tool. So we're just going to say in our content stats, and then we're going to go in here to enemies. We're going to import these stats. Boom. Nice, and it even saves the formula. That's so cool. This is an enemy, and we want him to be a starter enemy, so we're going to just decrease his stats a little bit. We might have to go back and do some changes later. What I love about this system, though, is we just have such a big versatility over the stats. You know, I chose our generic fantasy stats because we're making a tutorial series, but you know, if you're making a quirky game, you could make these stats say anything you wanted, which I just think is super cool. We're just gonna set this for now. What I'm trying to do is get us like 80% of the way there. You know, I know we're gonna have to come back and make some changes, but the more we can get right now, the better we're going to be in the long run. We're going to set an enemy formation here. We're just going to say 2 Magi. All right. Let's maybe have them be rank 1. I'm going to have to change these. I'm just going to... I wonder if we have... Let's get some sample backgrounds here, maybe. I'm really hoping that it comes with some backgrounds. Cool, that works for now. Wow, that's really cool. This is a 3D version. You can see it's not at all set up, but it's a 3D version of our map, which is kind of fun. Test map. See if we have any backdrops here. That's probably fine. All right, so one of the things we need to do is we need to change our battle configuration to occurs on user interface. And the reason for this is going to change how the backgrounds is created. You can feel free to play around with this occurs on current map or external map if you wish, but for this tutorial, we are going to have it take place in the UI. We're going to set a background layer. And we're going to set the width and height to 100. Let's set the enemy positions here. You can scroll with your mouse wheel, or you can go a little bit quicker this way. $300, maybe 100. Cool, that's probably fine. And then our hero, let's have start. I'm realizing now how absolutely crazy wide our map is. But again, hey, we're figuring this out together, right? So we might change our resolution at some point, but let's try that. I hit cancel earlier, so I need to redo some of this. They are so small. That's funny. I might need to change the scale of this. That's okay. We'll figure it out together. We want our ranks to stay as 1 for now. This sample looks great. And now we need to add. Click apply here. All right, sorry about that. I wanted to make a couple of tests to see what was going to work here. So the first thing that I needed to do was I went into this Final Boss Blues and I took this 2-1 and I mirrored it in Photoshop. So I would take this and just mirror it in some tool that you have. If you have Photoshop, great. I'm sure other free image softwares can mirror images, but we need this mirrored. And we need our scale set to like 5 and do this on the enemy as well. Otherwise, it's going to be really small. Then we have the background set up with these positions that we have. I spaced out this one a little bit more. And then we have our enemy formations. So everything looks good. And then the next thing I just did is I went into our NPC and I just right clicked, said battle, start battle. I had it start our battle. And now I think we are good. I'm trying to make sure I didn't do anything else. I think we're good to go ahead and test this. So now when we go talk to our friendly traveler, we start a battle scene. And so this is great. We don't have anything on here yet, but this is a really, really good start. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to make our user interface for the battle. We're just going to call this battle actions. Let's go ahead and copy and paste our chat window. I know this might seem weird. We're going to call this battle options. We want it to be a overlay. And we're going to take away this title box and title. And we are going to make this a little bit bigger. All right, so sorry, I'm just thinking here. This is the point where you'll really want to start to think through what you want your game to look like. I suggest seriously considering things like, hey, how do I want my battle window to look? Because we're going to make some decisions here for the sake of functionality, but it might not look the prettiest. I'm going to delete this as well. So we just have this backdrop, and I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to create another one that is maybe 40 width, and we'll move this over to 45. Nope, maybe 60. A little bit too much. 55. Perfect. All right, we're going to start adding the battle options, and I'm going to be honest with you, this next probably however long it takes from now until we're getting a working battle is a little bit confusing. And so my suggestion would be to open another executable of RPG Architect. And you can do that by going into your Steam library, going into the folder of RPG Architect, and then clicking it. And I would open the 2D template project, and I would use the database as both a reference, and we're actually going to use it for copy and pasting some scripts. This battle setup is a little bit complex. I think it makes sense once you understand what it's doing, but it took me a good while to figure out how to get battle working, and because it is kind of complex, I mean, we really are going to just have a working battle, meaning that the player can enter the battle, attack the enemy until they're dead, and then we leave, and then we'll have to build upon that further in future videos. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to templated list, and think of a templated list as a list that populates itself, and we can set it to populate with things, and we're going to set it to populate with battle commands. And then we're going to go down to item components, and we're going to set it to just be a text for now. And we're just going to say that this is going to be a text called name, just because we're just going to use this as a template, really. I'm going to click this use template button. I'm scrolling through the template project right now to see if there's anything else we need to do, because I really do think that scrolling through the template is going to be the best. And we're going to call this name right here, and we can see name start to appear. Maybe let's set this to size 40 for now, and let's reduce this maybe to 40 and 20 or something like that. Okay, that didn't reduce any spacing. Maybe down here. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer here. Maybe this actually needs to stay 100, 100 because we want it to fill its parents. For some reason this height appears to be... Oh, I bet I know what the problem is. I bet we want to keep this relatively high. I bet we need to change it more down here. Yep. All right. We'll put this where we want it. Ooh. Remember, for all of these, we're just kind of playing with it until it looks nice. It's probably good for now. Now let's go ahead. Let's just see what happens if we were to run this. All right, so we get our attack button, and that's it. And one thing I might have forgotten to mention, sorry, I'll admit, I built this first, and then I cleared everything out, and I'm running it again. And so there's a couple things that I hope they line up. Make sure under your battle configuration that you have battle options set up under the battle or command menu. That is the user interface we just set up. And then make sure that you just have a skill called attack in here. The more skills you add, the more could show up there. And now let's just make this have a really simple cursor. Let's head into UI here. I'm going to cursors. We'll find one. That looks great. Set it to be this. It has 6 frames. 2, 3, 6. And then let's change this to a pointer left. And we need to just, again, always we're just making things look nice. Looks like it's a little high. Too much. Then let's go back and let's test that out again. Cool. I mean, that looks pretty good. If we press enter, it doesn't do anything, but it looks kind of nice. We're going to add another level of complexity. This is where you're going to really want to make sure that you have your template project pulled up, because we're going to go over here. This is the template project, and we're going to click this copy entire script button from, we're on battle commands, and we've scrolled all the way down and we've clicked execute. We're going to click this copies entire script, and then we're going to go back into our project, and we're going to replicate this by going to battle commands, execute, paste entire script, and you're going to have a bunch of like undefineds. And so you need to make your switches and variables look something like this. You need to have this many switches and call them something like this. You can also find these in the target or in the 2D template. And we're going to do the same thing under variables. And that should get you to this point where we have this script. Let's read through what this script does, just because I think it's important to understand. First thing we're going to do, we're going to save the unique ID of the battle command, of which battle command it is, to a variable called battle command. So what we're doing there is we're letting the program know what battle command we're selecting. And the next thing we're going to do is save whether or not this is a target all. So whether or not this skill has a scope of target all, which we'll go over in a minute, we're going to save the battle commands. Does it target all enemies to target all? This is either going to be a true or a false. So if your scope is a target all, it will be a true. If it is not, it'll be a false. And then we're going to do the same thing with target random enemy and is container. We're going to say, is this battle command a target enemy? Is this battle command a container? And a container is a skill that like holds more skills. That's not something we're going to go over in this video. Next, if it's a container, what you would do here is you would open the container for the skills. So like if this was a container called magic and it opened all the magic, that's what that would do. But that's a little bit more advanced than what we want for right now. So instead, we're going to, our target will be something that is not defined yet. And we're going to push an element that is not defined yet. However, if we open up our target or our template, we can see what we are going to do is we are going to, once the user chooses a skill, we're going to focus a new window, if you will. It's not really a window, but we're going to focus a new section of the battle called targets, where then the user will choose their target. So that's what we're going to focus on making next, because right now, I'm not positive. Let's test this out, but I think we're going to crash the game if we hit accept. Okay, nope. Good news, we don't crash the game, but nothing happens. So, how do we get targets? Well, we're going to create another templated list. We're going to call this one targets. My suggestion is to pull up your template, because we're going to pretty much use that as our template. We're going to change this to a battle command. Under here, under custom context, we're going to use this custom context, and we're going to use the custom context of targets. This is a little bit confusing, but we're passing through the targets. And then going down here, This one is not going to have any item components, so we're not even going to see anything on this screen at all. But we're going to scroll all the way down, and we are going to take our template list again, and we can see that there is an execute, a item focused, and an unfocused. You're going to go through all of these, and we're going to copy and paste them. So paste, copy. You can't see my copying, but I'm pasting, and copy and paste. Now, what is happening in this is within our skills, there is a function that skills can target targets, and this is handling the UI logic for that. So this is where like it gets kind of conceptual. You might want to play around with the settings to actually understand what they're doing, because it is pretty complex. And so we are going to head over to attack, and we're going to make sure that our scope is on an enemy. We want it to target one enemy, and we can see under that there's no targeting animation, and we're actually going to change that, but we can't change it because we don't have an animation. So we're going to go over here to animations. We're going to resize it so that you have one, and we're going to call this one battle target. And we're going to resize this to 3. And we're going to set a frame here. We're going to set it to be a graphic. And we're going to go find another cursor. Let me go down here and just see what we want. Let's just we're going to just use this one. And so now we have to do a little bit of math to figure out how big this image is. I think it's 96 by 96. Okay. We're going to hit OK there. And you're not going to see it over here, but that is okay. And what we're going to do, what I want the cursor to look like is I want it to just look like it's going up and down a little bit. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, go into the next frame, and Control V. If it's going to let me do that, maybe we have to right click. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't refresh. I think that's a small bug. I'm going to try to remember to post that later, but when we paste here, it won't show. So just exit out and go back. And I want the first and the last frame to be the same. Technically, this could probably be a 2-frame animation, but I kind of like how it looks. And I'm just going to change the Y translation to be maybe 5. I'm going to hit apply here. And then we're going to go into skills, attack, and we're going to say our animation is battle target. It might already select that for us. Now let's see. I'm not sure at this point if it's going to show or not. So let's just test it out. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, it's not showing quite yet, but that is okay. Some of you may have figured out why it probably isn't showing, and it's because under battle commands, when we hit execute, we never changed those undefined. So we want to change both of these to targets. And then seeing if we need to add anything else here that we're passing through. I don't think we need to pass anything through. Oh, oops, I did the wrong thing here. Make sure you don't do what I just did. It's not a big deal because it doesn't matter, but we want this to push the containers UI later. We want these down here to be targets. You want to make sure that those local variables are going through. We want to make sure that this use current selection. Now let's try that again. A lot of this really is trial and error, as you can tell. You know, I could have made a really clean tutorial video where there were no mistakes, but I don't think that's realistic to the process. All right. All right, so you can see I mean, we have it working, kind of. I'm pressing left and right, but for some reason it's going to that right target the entire time. So one of the things I'm going to do to make this a little more visible is I'm going to go to my enemy formations. Let's pull this guy up, like, I don't know, a good amount. I don't know if that did anything. Is this doing anything? There we go. Okay. Maybe let's do something like that. Let's keep these guys closer together, because I want to see what exactly is happening. I'm wondering if this is it's an animation issue or what. Okay, so it's up. It looks like it's not looping. I bet that's our problem, is I bet we need our animation to be set to looping. Yep. Let's do that. Let's make it a little bit slower too. This is what I mean when I say there we go. Look at that. That looks nice. Now we have a nice selection window. Look at that. And when I press enter on them, you can see nothing is really happening. And that's okay. Cool. What do we need to do next? Well, let's go ahead and set up our skills. So we're going to go over here to skills, click attack, make sure that this is set to -100, and let's just run through some of these things. Action sequence. That would be if you wanted your character to go and attack the enemy in terms of like a sprite or something like that. We're going to set up a really, really simple action sequence, and we're just going to call this one attack. And we're going to call this one acting, and all we're going to do is we're just going to do result, which is when in the action sequence the result happens. So if you wanted to make action where they run and jump and attack and then jump back, you don't want the damage to hit until your characters run and attack. This is a basic video, so we're just going to make this placeholder attack animation. All it does is it just attacks. Perfect. We've got there. We need the success formula to be 100. This is a formula, so you can have it be whatever you want, but we never want this attack to miss right now, and so we're going to set the minimum rank to 1 and the success formula to 100. We already set that U scope, and I think that's pretty good. Now we need the enemies to die when they die, and so we're going to go over here to status effects, and we're going to create 2 of them. We're going to say hero KO for when we die, and enemy KO for when they die. And under conditions, we're going to set the HP to be 0, but you'll notice something if you were to test this out, which is that you could set the HP to be less than or equal to 0, which is what we want. But no matter how many times you attack the enemy, they would never die. Why is that? It's because earlier we had set up our HP statistic as a core, and we want it to be a store. So think of a store as something you would use with a gauge. This is an HP store. And so back under our status effects, we want death to occur when the HP is less than or equal to 0. If you haven't done any experience with coding before, this is the less than, this is the equal to 0. And then what we want to happen when that is, when this happens, we want them to clear battle actions, disable battle actions, disable battle counter growth. We're going to just check this. Actually, no, we don't need that yet. I think that's fine. Actually, sorry, that was for the hero. We're going to do remove enemy from battle, remove after battle, and grant rewards. So let's go through these. Remove enemy from the battle. That's pretty straightforward. Whether or not the status effect ends after the battle, we want that to be removed after the enemy is removed, and we want grant rewards. So that means that the enemy's rewards will be granted when the battle is over. If that was unchecked, this would be more like an enemy fleeing from battle than dying. We want to change this priority to 1,000. We want this to take place over other status effects, and I think that is good for him. Under hero, we're going to do the same thing. Cool. And we're going to check these first 3. All right. I think that's good. Now we're going to head to our battle configuration. And we are going to set some conditions. So we're going to say that our victory conditions are enemy formation status effect. So what this means is when the entire enemy formation has the status effect of enemy KO, we win. And what happens when we win? All we want right now is the battle to return to the scene. Where is that? In battle, return to prior scene. Okay? So we might be good to go ahead and test this out. Formula looks good. Let's see what happens when we test this out. I have a feeling we'll probably encounter a bug or two because that's how it goes. All right. Let's attack. Boom. Oh, hey, he died. Attack. Boom, he died. Hey, we have a working battle. One of the things I also maybe forgot to mention is make sure that your enemy's health is less than 100 or 100. And look at that. I believe we have accomplished what we wanted to do in this video, which is we have granted it's a lame battle system that we've created so far. There's way more to the system that can be added, and we're going to continue to make this look better, but we technically have a system where we can hit the enemy and they die. There's no animations, they can't attack back, there's no turn counter or anything like that, but we have made a working bare bones battle system. All right, I think that's a good place to cap this video. So next time we're going to start adding things to this battle, like the enemy attacking back, turn counters, animations, things like that.